Wouldn't you build up all this cholesterol in your arteries and die of a heart attack if you regularly eat eggs? That is still the pervasive conventional diet wisdom for a lot of people. To this day, the general safe recommendation by the American Heart Association is to eat up to 1 egg a day for most people. But has that advice led to massive unintended consequences, as you're about to find out? Is it finally time to change your stance on the humble egg, an extremely nutrient-dense food that humans have been eating for millions of years? In this video, I'm going to show you the shocking truth about eggs and heart disease. And make sure to stick around until the end because I'm also going to show you the real culprit when it comes to heart disease. But first, let me give you some context that's really important to understand all of this. Eggs have gotten a bad reputation basically since the 1960s when a highly influential doctor named Ancel Keys introduced the idea that saturated fat and dietary cholesterol were to blame for the increasing rates of heart disease. That became the start of the low-fat diet movement, so people who wanted to lose weight, improve their health, and avoid heart disease limited their cheese, red meat, and egg intake because it's high in cholesterol, and replaced it with 6 to 11 servings from the bread, cereal, rice, and pasta group. It's the classic food pyramid. Oddly enough, that's also the time when the obesity epidemic started in North America. Something's not right. And if your body composition and overall health isn't where you want it to be, the question you should really be asking yourself is, have you been following the wrong information all this time? Turns out, Ancel Keys and company used cherry-picked data from observational studies, meaning they did not use real science to push this low-fat diet narrative. And that has resulted in massive unintended consequences. Obesity rates started skyrocketing worldwide, especially in North America, and heart disease is by far the #1 killer in developed countries. We are now the sickest and unhealthiest sets of humans to ever exist. The good news is the science is finally catching up when it comes to exonerating the humble egg. The key is to not be dogmatic, upholding long and established diet beliefs, especially when the current established paradigm was built on a house of cards. Because in 6 major clinical studies, it was found that eggs did not increase or was not associated with heart disease in healthy people. In the Rotterdam study, researchers found lower rates of heart disease in participants who consumed higher amounts of eggs, cheese, butter, and liver. You know, the same foods you've been told to avoid if you're worried about heart disease. And if we just stick to the facts, only 50% of people who suffer from heart attacks have elevated cholesterol levels, which means the other 50% are within the recommended range. Why are they still having heart attacks? It doesn't add up. Here's the kicker. There's even mounting evidence that suggests those with higher cholesterol might actually live longer. A 1992 study by American scientists found that low cholesterol was predictive of increased mortality from gastrointestinal and respiratory diseases. They also found that those with low cholesterol were hospitalized more frequently due to infectious diseases. The Minnesota coronary study on 9,000 men and women over 4.5 years also found that the more they lowered their cholesterol, the more they died of a heart attack. Isn't that interesting? The European Heart Study, MONICA, also found that Switzerland and France, who consumed lavish natural fat diets, had the lowest death rates from heart disease. Some people refer to it as the French paradox. The Swiss, who enjoyed the highest life expectancy in Europe, had the highest average cholesterol levels at 260 milligrams per deciliter, or 6.7 millimoles per liter. Here's more. Hong Kong, the longest-lived country in the world, also happens to eat the most meat on the planet. The average person eats 1.3 pounds of cholesterol and saturated fat-containing meat per day, and 2.04 pounds of animal products in total per day if you include eggs and dairy, yet they live the longest. Japan, one of the vaunted blue zones, which sits at #2 for life expectancy, also eats an average of a pound of animal product per day. They also have very low rates of obesity at 3.7%. For context, the US leads the pack at a mind-blowing 38.2%. Obesity, in case you didn't know, contributes directly to incident cardiovascular risk factors. Lastly, the Framingham Heart Study found blood cholesterol is not a strong risk factor for coronary heart disease. There is no correlation between dietary cholesterol intake, like eating eggs, and blood cholesterol levels. In fact, cholesterol is important for every cellular function in the human body. If it's so bad for you, why does the human body make its own cholesterol? You would die without it. Because of this mounting evidence, in 2015, the US quietly dropped its caution against eating cholesterol-laden food, undoing almost 40 years of government warnings about its consumption. Bet you didn't see that on the news. Again, it was wrongly vilified to begin with because of bad and corrupt science. And if you're really worried about clogged arteries, it's not eggs you need to avoid. Shift your attention to the big bad three: refined grains, processed sugar, and cheap vegetable and seed oils. More on that in a second. But let's look at the other side of the equation. What are the benefits of eating more eggs? Well, there's plenty. A study in the Journal of Nutrition found that eating 3 eggs per day actually improved the quality of cholesterol in overweight or obese subjects. By the way, if your doctor blindly refers to LDL as bad cholesterol, you probably need a new doctor. Again, LDL alone does not cause heart disease for metabolically healthy people. Now that you know you're not gonna die of a heart attack from eating eggs, quite the contrary actually, as you can see from the studies I've mentioned, let's talk about what makes the humble egg a superfood. For starters, one egg contains 6 grams of high-quality protein. High-quality protein means it contains all 9 essential amino acids, which are crucial for muscle growth, tissue repair, and immune function. Eggs are also an excellent source of healthy fats, which are vital for brain function, hormone function, and the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. Moreover, eggs contain anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids, which also aids brain function and reduce the risk of heart disease. That flies in the face of conventional diet wisdom to avoid eggs because it's bad for the heart. No. Eggs are also an excellent source of vitamins D, A, K, and E. They're essential vitamins that shuttle minerals around so your body can build proteins, generate energy, and move electrical signals. Eggs also contain a good dose of B vitamins and minerals like iron, zinc, and selenium, which are crucial for red blood cell production and immune health. Eggs also contain hard-to-find nutrients like choline, which can only be found in animal foods, as well as lutein and zeaxanthin, which are important for eye and brain health. Eggs also have a low glycemic index, meaning it does not cause a robust spike in blood sugar and insulin levels. The better you are at regulating blood sugar and insulin, the healthier you'll be. In short, eggs contain virtually every single nutrient in its most bioavailable form that the human body needs to thrive. A true superfood. When it comes to practicality, eggs are also accessible for most people, even if you live in a food desert. Go to any grocery store and they'll always have eggs. Speaking of buying eggs, quality absolutely matters. For example, pasture-raised hens produce eggs that are higher in omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, vitamin E, and other essential nutrients compared to eggs from caged hens. It's because pasture-raised hens can roam freely, forage for a diverse range of foods like bugs, worms, and insects, as well as engage in normal chicken behaviors. Contrast that to cage hens, which are typically confined to small spaces. Sometimes the hens are literally stacked on top of each other, unable to move. They also solely eat commercial chicken feed, an evolutionary mismatch. You can bet that there's gonna be a difference in the quality of eggs they produce. In 2019, researchers looked at how people's bodies respond to food produced by animals raised under different conditions. The study showed that eating the same types of foods like eggs, cheese, beef, and butter from animals raised in pasture compared to animals raised in a cage led to a significant difference in important biomarkers, including levels of conjugated linoleic acid, omega-3 fatty acids, and inflammatory factors. Again, quality matters. Let me just simplify all the marketing and branding on egg cartons the next time you buy eggs at your local grocery store. Unless it specifically says pasture-raised organic eggs, which is the highest quality egg you can get, there's very little difference between free-range, cage-free, grade A, white eggs, brown eggs, and vegetarian-fed. Chickens are not vegetarians, by the way. All those different branding terms almost means nothing. It's all marketing. If you can't find pasture-raised eggs at the store, you can usually find them at your local's farmer's market. Having said that, don't let perfect be the enemy of progress, because even the cheapest eggs are infinitely better than eating cereal or toast for breakfast. especially if you live in a food desert. Now, let's look at potentially the most important part of the conversation when it comes to eggs and heart disease. How are you preparing your eggs? Unless you're poaching or boiling your eggs, you're most likely using some sort of oil to cook them. That's where the problem lies. Because using cheap industrial vegetable and seed oils, which is what a majority of people use, is an extremely insidious health destroyer. I'm talking about canola oil, corn oil, cottonseed oil, grapeseed oil, rice bran oil, safflower oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, margarine, or anything else that identifies as vegetable oil. Cheap industrial vegetable and seed oils are part of the big bad 3 foods to avoid I mentioned earlier if you're really worried about heart disease. Industrial vegetable and seed oils are very unstable, they're full of additives and oxidize very easily because they're extremely processed at high temperatures, which then causes absolute metabolic chaos to your body when you use them for cooking. They've been shown to contribute to detrimental health conditions like inflammation, asthma, autoimmune disease, mental health problems, diabetes, obesity, heart disease, and even cancer. Avoid using cheap, highly inflammatory vegetable and seed oils at all costs. Avoid cooking with them and avoid foods that contain them. The problem is, vegetable and seed oils are everywhere. You can find them in almost all condiments like mayo and barbecue sauce, as well as salad dressings and basically all ultra-processed junk food. You can even find them in baby formula. Could this be one of the biggest reasons why childhood obesity is also skyrocketing? The best oils to cook your eggs in are natural high-heat stable fats like pure avocado oil, extra virgin coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil at low to medium heat, as well as tallow, butter, and ghee. Putting it all together, eggs are nature's multivitamin. There is no correlation between dietary cholesterol intake, like eating eggs, and blood cholesterol levels. The more eggs you eat, especially if you're eating it in place of ultra-processed food, the healthier you'll be. Feel free to eat anywhere between 4 to 6 eggs a day. Try to buy pasture-raised eggs if you can, and make sure to only fry your eggs in high-heat stable oil like extra virgin coconut oil or olive oil. Now, if you enjoyed this video, then you don't want to ignore this one. I'll see you there.